There has been an attempt to speak to all coming in where voters are concerned from various political ideology, be it who are traditional NDA voters, be it those who vote for the opposition or those who are fence-sitters as others. Well, we also have National Spokesperson BJP, Tuhin Sinha, Spokesperson Congress, Sujata Paul, Ashutosh, author, political analyst with us, Karan Verma, author and political analyst. Let's quickly dive into our first set of data, visuals also coming in a short while from the Prime Minister's residence of these delegates meeting the Prime Minister for the first time after travelling the entire world with the message of India on what is the new normal for India post these terror attacks and India's Operation Sindoor. Let's quickly cut across to our first set of data. The respondents were asked, and there's a reason, like I pointed out, we've broken it up in respondents who were surveyed from who are usual NDA voters, BJP voters, opposition voters, others. So the question that we asked, has Modi government policies enhanced our global standing? That's the big question that was posed to our respondents, and this is what we polled. NDA, 71.5% of those who vote for the NDA seem to suggest that it's enhanced a lot. 13.9% from NDA voters say enhanced somewhat. Opposition, 41.2%, enhanced a lot. Enhanced somewhat, 15.4%, others 46.2%, enhanced a lot, and somewhat enhanced 14%. So if you look at it net viewers and how you read the data, nearly over 55% of the opposition actually feels, opposition voters, these are not voters who vote for the BJP or the NDA. They are the ones who actually vote for the Congress, for other opposition parties, and they all seem to also believe that Modi's government policies have enhanced our global standing. This, at least this data, doesn't quite augur well for the opposition, because 55% of the opposition, which feels somewhat enhanced a lot, is actually very decent referendum when it comes down to our policies in terms of global standing where India is concerned, and that is the opposition putting that seal of referendum. Let's quickly cut across to our second set of data because they're both tied in, and then we'll move into specific data points that we picked up and asked as questions to our respondents. The government's performance in countering terrorism, because what we have seen in the last couple of weeks in terms of India's global outreach policy has all tied into the terror attack at Pahalgam, viewers, and also followed by Operation Sindoor. And then one can clearly suggest after Operation Sindoor, it was Operation Global Outreach. Modi government's performance in countering terrorism, both of them tying in together. If you look at it, well, in this particular data fact sheet, it seems that the incumbent government has hit it out of the park, where NDA supporters, nearly 70% of them said excellent job, 14.4% good. So nearly, that is 75% of NDA voters feel that the government has done, if not a good, but an excellent job at countering terrorism. Opposition, 37.7%, excellent, 11.9% good. Well, over 50% of opposition voters actually feel that the government's done a good job in countering terrorism. Others, 45.7% excellent, 14.5% good. So even the fence-sitters that don't belong to the NDA ideology or the ideology of the opposition, over 55% of that lot also actually seems to believe that the government's done a darn good job at countering terrorism. Let's quickly get in a word in from our panelists this evening. First up, if we have Yashwant Deshmukh from C Voter. Mr. Deshmukh, if you can hear me right now, interesting set of data that has come out, and especially if one looks at the markers. All right, we don't have Yashwant. Let's cut across right now to our other panelists. Tuhin Sinha is with me, National Spokesperson, Sujata Paul, Ashutosh, Karan Verma. Ashutosh and Karan Verma first, before we go to our political panelists. Ashutosh, what do you make of these figures, especially when one looks at countering terrorism, where the government standing is concerned, and also the total global standing on how at least the respondents that answered this particular survey seem to believe, even those who vote for the opposition, that India has done a stellar job?
See, Preeti, first of all, let me make it at the outset very clear that I never question the because I had been a broadcaster, so I don't question the data which is put before us. But the fact of the matter is that the data which is showing here doesn't match the ground reality in the context of the Operation Sindoor. If you look at the facts are very, very clear. None of the superpowers, they stood by us. None of the small powers stood by us. None of the small powers stood by us. And none of the international institutions, they stood by us. So if India's standing at the global level has enhanced in the last 10 years, then why India feels so isolated and so alone? The fact of the matter is that Pakistan at least has got some support from the China, the full-fledged support from the China, Azerbaijan, and Turkey, but none came to us. So, and you look at if at the individual level, if you look at your relationship with the Canada, your relations with America, your relationship with the China, relations with the Pakistan historically, and then you look at the relations with Bangladesh and Maldives. Even you have to your foreign minister has to say in the context of the European Union that we don't need preachers, we need partners. So why, if the situation has been so good, India has become rated as one of the global superpowers?
All right.
That why we
so you're not doubting the data, but you don't agree with the data that we are presenting.
Certainly, I do not agree.
That is Ashutosh's point of view. Karan Verma, would you want to quickly weigh in on this? Because if you just look at, the fact sheet in terms of the data that we are presenting out there, it does look, look at what the opposition voters seem to suggest. And the government's doing a decent job, even as per the opposition voters, on both, at least, these benchmarks.
Absolutely. In fact, it's doing a stellar job. Even amongst the opposition, 55% believe that it has somewhat enhanced or massively enhanced the global position. So, it cannot be better than this. I think the BJP cannot have it better than this. And, I understand where Ashutosh ji is coming from, but I would like to counter that by saying that, we have moved to a point where we are no longer in the curiosity realm of the world. Today, we are a threat to the superpowers. We are being considered in the China +1 option as far as manufacturing is concerned. We are the 4th largest economy. We refuse to buy F-35s from US. Today, we have that sort of muscle and clout where we are an object of envy. We should never be compared with Pakistan, which is a useless nation, which has use us written all over it, and which every country uses for its purposes, as a base or whatever. So we cannot be compared to how many stood by us as compared to Pakistan. We are pretty much carving a niche of our own, and there has not been a single OIC organization or any organization which has passed a resolution against us. In fact, the Germany foreign minister, standing on the podium, defended our right to go into the Pakistani territory and attack their terror sites. It said India very much reserves the right to defend and even attack itself against terrorism. So, we have not received any sort of vilification from any quarters, the kind we received back in 99 or even 1971, where so many nations pretty much passed resolutions against us. So we have come a long way from that, and we cannot be compared to the last dispensation.
All right, Sujata Paul, because we've got a fair amount of data points to go through. So I'd like all of you to maybe keep it short, and maybe we can delve in in detail later. Sujata Paul, to bring you in on this, at least with what the data points suggest, Sujata Paul, contrary to what at least domestic politics has been, especially with your own political outfit, at a limb, trying to suggest that we've done an abysmal job on the global platform, trying to put India's point forward. But at least in this survey, it seems to be that even those who vote for you believe India's done not a bad job. 55% of opposition voters believing that the Modi government policies have worked in terms of India's global standing is a referendum for the Prime Minister.
Good evening, Preeti, to all my co-panelists and to your audiences. The fact of the matter is that I simply cannot agree to the data presented by C Voter and India Today, because if you look at what the government had promised and what the government has delivered are totally opposite, on the opposite parts of the spectrum. And when you talk about policies that have enhanced our position in the global arena, it is very clear that we are being put on the same pedestal as Pakistan by no less than the friend of the Vishwaguru, the Prime Minister, Mr. Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump thinks that Pakistan has very fine leaders, then he should answer as to why US had entered Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden. If he was eliminated, then,
Okay.
then US clearly knows that Pakistan harbors terror, and anybody who harbors terror
Okay.
cannot be put on the same pedestal as
Okay.
us. But when you talk about the performance in the country as far as terrorism is concerned, how is it that when the ceasefire happened, it was the right-wing trollers who were trolling Colonel Sofia Qureshi or Vikram Misri
Okay.
ji?
All
Why
right,
did
Sujata
that
Paul, hold
happen?
on to that thought. Like I said, keep it brief. You know, there's a lot of data to go through, so let's keep it brief. Tuhin Sinha, you'd be happy with at least the first set of numbers there.
Well, good evening, Preeti. Good evening, everybody. Yes, absolutely. Data doesn't lie, and the data corroborates what is the ground reality. You know, our diplomatic efforts post Operation Sindoor have been remarkable success. You know, I don't know why the opposition doesn't, take cognizance of the German foreign minister very explicitly condemning terrorism emanating out of Pakistan. The Australian Deputy Prime Minister was equally vocal in rooting for India and in condemning terrorism. Now, we have seen how Colombia changed its stand from initially being pro-Pakistan to seeing reason in what India did. Panama has supported us, Algeria has supported us, besides, of course, Israel and Japan have traditionally supported us. So I don't know why these people are so skeptical. I think if you reverse that survey, if you had done a survey on does India condemn Rahul Gandhi's surrender remarks on Prime Minister Modi, I think 100% of the people would have condemned.
Okay, but that's a good idea for the next survey.
You know, I think we need to realize that the success.
No, I think that's a good idea for the next survey. The Narendra surrender remark as well as charges on the EC. You know, both surveys could be good, and especially with what the people actually feel about that. But Tuhin, stay with me. I want to put in.
You can de-link the EC. You can de-link the EC for now. You can focus on national issues, and you will see how Congress
EC is a national issue as well, Tuhin Sinha.
You know, as somebody.
EC is a national issue as well,
which is compromised.
But right now, you know,
no,
all of that aside.
I'm talking about national security issues. There's
right,
clearly
but
a
all of that
difference
aside, Tuhin Sinha, these numbers are good. You should be smiling at the back of that. But let's give in the next set of numbers, and we also have Yashwant Deshmukh, founder director of Seawater. Let me take you through the next set of data. The question that was posed to respondents and with what they chose to answer to the question, as the government selected members for diplomatic delegations with political motive, there was a fair amount of political heat at the back of this particular move in selection of delegations. So, well, NDA supporters, yes, completely. 16.9%, that's it. Say that this was done with a political motive of the government. Opposition, clearly 31% of those who vote for the opposition seem to suggest that all of this was a political move by the government. But what's interesting here is the others figure, because nearly 30%, 29.2% of the fence-sitters feel that the government was political in picking the delegations. Yes, somewhat. If you look at NDA voters, 21.8%, opposition 26.2%, others 21.5%. So net, if you actually look at these figures, especially even nearly 50% of NDA supporters, voters feel that there was political motive behind picking the delegation. So leave alone what opposition others comes down to. So one thing is clear in that data that is filtering in right now, that at the question whether this was a political move in picking the particular delegation, 7 of them, well, yes, nearly 50% of our respondents, even those who vote for the NDA, feel that this was a political move. So the matter would be settled in terms of politics behind that and what the voters feel. The second question that we are moving to, which was asked, could sending opposition netas in delegations improve relations between government and opposition? Well, you have yes, NDA, 44.4% voters feel that. Respondents from the opposition ideology, 45.7%, others 42.2%. No, 24.4%. NDA, opposition 30.1%, others 25%. So interesting. It seems here the NDA voters, the opposition and the fence-sitters, all of them align in their thought process. There are no variations. 44 to 45% of them actually believe that it's a good idea to include opposition members in these delegations. Let's cut across right now. We have Yashwant Deshmukh who's joining us. Sea Voters conducted the survey. Yashwant, were you surprised with the the response, because after Operation Sindoor, it was Operation Global Outreach, especially on how your respondents reacted in terms of global standing. Well, that's a huge referendum for Prime Minister Modi and his government, because even opposition voters feel that the government's done a darn good job at it.
Well, Preeti, that definitely is the case. And also, let's not forget that majority of the opposition voters also belong to non-Congress parties. We tend to look at that column only with the idea of looking at the Congress as the main